Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in to my SoundPaint podcast. SoundPaint was a concept I came up with about 10 years ago with the goal to be rooted in a safe community for musicians seeking music education from the angle of just wanting to explore and enjoy music and sound and to grow together in their skill and ability. I also feel very strongly about the connection between art and music, and it's my love and passion to read different physics studies that explore the correlation between sound waves and light waves. Light waves, which when are broken down, are basically the colors that we see. I absolutely love the idea of approaching writing with music and color in mind. That's actually a big source of my inspiration when I play. With that in mind, I think you get the idea why I call this project SoundPaint. For those of you listening that can't see what I'm doing, I'm working today in Ableton Live 11 with my Arturia KeyLab 88, which is what I'm using as my MIDI controller, or musical instrument digital interface. As we go, I'll be describing what it is that I'm doing as much as possible for everyone listening without the video. If you are interested in seeing what I'm doing in Ableton, you can check out my video podcast on YouTube by clicking the link included below in the show notes section. You can also find me on Apple Podcast by searching SoundPaint Sonic Exploration. Okay, so just like I had mentioned last week, I'm going to really get into oscillators this week. I hope you enjoyed last week. As usual, I would love to hear some feedback to give me an idea of if you're digging what I'm talking about or if you would rather me try something else or go in a different direction. It's all cool because it's all sound and it's all fun. All right, so oscillators. If you missed last week's episode, you probably should check it out because I really went into depth about what an oscillator is. We talked about how it's basically a cooking pot. And within that cooking pot, you put different sound waves. And you can do different things to the sound waves to really create something unique and colorful and very cool. So, as usual, or as I'm trying to make a habit of, I'm going to choose a color for this track. I think we're going to go with a fuchsia today. No, it didn't take. Okay, one more time. A fuchsia today. There we go. That's like a strawberry, kind of raspberry color. I like it. Okay, oscillators. Now, for those of you that can't see what I'm doing, I would try to check out my YouTube channel just because I don't want you to feel like you're being left out. So I'm going to just describe it as much as possible. In this oscillator, this cooking pot that we have here, I have two different sine waves. Actually, technically, I have two different oscillators, this oscillator on the top and this oscillator on the bottom. And right now, they are both set to, and we talked about this last week, a sawtooth wave. And I also mentioned last week that it's my favorite of the wave forms. So here's what a sawtooth wave sounds like when it's doubled up. Ooh, that was a lot of notes. I think I'm going to keep it simple, one note at a time. Changing key. A little bit of dissonance. Dissonance means two notes that just basically don't get along together, but I actually really like it. Let's hear that again. I didn't like that. I regretted that. Cool. We came home to the key of F. I don't know how I did that. That was fun. We're going to keep it somewhat simple. I'm just going to actually devote today to focusing on this sawtooth wave, but we're going to tweak what's going on within each of these two oscillators just a little bit. Now, real quick, I'm going to teach you a word, and that word is called octave. Now, if you know what that word is, then great. But if you don't, that basically means in music, the distance of 8 notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this F note right here, and I'm going to count up 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that wasn't like a classic scale because I'm staying in something called the C of the key of C major. And what I did was I started on F and I ended on F, which is basically not the starting note. So it sounds a little weird when I get to a specific note that's supposed to be different, but I am doing it anyways, and I don't care. Here's the note I'm changing. Just having fun with that one. All right, so where am I going with this? So we have, now what I just did there was I started on F, I went up 1 octave or 8 notes, and then back down an octave. So I want you to hear what an octave sounds like. And if you want some kind of reference, a lot of people use Somewhere Over the Rainbow as a reference point for what an octave sounds like, because that first interval, and like we talked about last week, an interval means just basically the distance between 2 notes. That interval, that first interval in Somewhere Over the Rainbow, is an octave. And I'll let you fill in the rest in your mind. So, octave. Now, what I'm going to do here in the oscillator is, I think the top oscillator, I'm going to change what octave it is oscillating at. Oscillating? That's probably not the right word I'm looking for. So I just did one little thing. I changed the octave. Now, think of it this way. There are 2 sawtooth waves operating independently, simultaneously together. While I'm just playing one note, you're actually hearing 2 notes at the same time, as if I was doing this and hitting literally hitting those 2 Fs at the same time. But it's like I now like doubled what's happening. So one of the oscillators is playing an octave above, while the other one is still playing technically 2 octaves below. I'm going to change that. I think my top oscillator, I'm going to just be centered. There we go. What does that sound like? Not too different from where we started. Where we started, they were both playing the same note. So, okay, this is where we started. I'm still just playing F. I'm only hitting 1 F right now. And both oscillators are in agreement hitting that same F, that exact same F. We're not an octave above, we're not an octave below. It is just this F that I am playing. But one of them I am going to notch up an octave. Okay, just so you can compare, going back down. 1 F. 2 Fs. I'm only hitting 1 F. That's it. But you're hearing 2 simultaneously. You're hearing 1 in the lower register and 1 F an octave higher than that. Only 1 octave though. So we're gonna kick it up 1 more. The bottom oscillator I am gonna keep where it is, but the top oscillator I am going to throw up 1 more octave. I'm still just hitting 1 F. So to compare, here they are in unison. 1 octave apart. And 2 octaves apart. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. If you were able to hang on and follow me with all of that crazy talk, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, I could literally talk about this like all day. I am a music theory nerd to the core. So with that, I think I will wrap it up for today. And then we ended in C. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked what you heard today or want to hear where we go next week, I think I want to keep going with this because I'm having fun. And like I've said now, like several times, if you're having fun with what we're doing, please let me know because I don't want to bore you to death with something that I know is just near and dear to my heart. I want to make sure that you're enjoying this too and you don't feel lost. Like, that just really gets to me when people know so much about something and make other people who don't know as much feel lost. And it really, really is my goal to keep this a little bit educational, but enjoyable for everybody, no matter where your musical skill level is. That being said, let me know. Feedback, always welcome, always loved. So if you don't already, I would love it if you followed me. Like I said, you can find me on Apple Podcast at SoundPaint. That's one word, SoundPaint, Sonic Exploration. And as I said before, you can also follow me on YouTube. The link for my YouTube channel is down below in the notes. I put these out every Saturday. And I look forward to engaging with you and all of us learning together. Thanks again and have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Bye.